I found out my wife was hiding money from me, and for 3 days I thought she was planning to leave me. Then I found out where the money was going, and I still wish I had never opened that envelope. My name is Mark. I was married to Anna for 9 years. We had the kind of marriage people call stable, not perfect, not movie-level romantic, just steady. We both worked. We paid bills. We cooked dinner together when we had time. We argued about small things, then forgot about them by the next morning. At least that was what I thought. Anna was quiet but not cold. She always noticed details. If I came home tired, she would leave food warm on the stove. If I had a rough day, she would sit beside me without asking too many questions. I used to think that was love. Now I wonder how many times she sat beside me while carrying something I never saw. Everything changed because of a bank notification. It was a Thursday night. I was on the couch, half watching TV, half checking emails. Anna was in the shower. Her phone was on the coffee table. It lit up. I didn't mean to look closely, but the screen was facing me. Transfer completed, $850. The account name was one I had never seen before. At first I thought it was some work thing, maybe a payment, maybe a mistake. Then another notification appeared. Balance, $18,460. My stomach tightened. Anna and I were not rich. We had savings, but not much. We had been arguing for months about money. She kept saying we needed to cut back. No dinners out, no new car, no vacation. And now I was staring at almost $20,000 in an account I didn't know existed. The part that hurt first was not the money. It was how calm she had been while hiding it. When she came back into the room, I acted normal. That was my first mistake. I watched her pick up her phone, check it quickly, and turn the screen down. She didn't say anything, neither did I. But something inside me shifted. The next morning, I asked her if we could go over our finances that weekend. She froze for half a second, just half a second. Then she smiled and said, "Sure." That half second stayed with me all day. By Saturday, I had already searched our shared bank account. Nothing obvious was missing. Bills were paid. Mortgage was covered. Groceries, utilities, insurance. All normal. But then I checked older statements. Small withdrawals. 200 here. 300 there. Cash back at stores. Transfers labeled as personal expenses. Nothing big enough to scream. But together over time, they added up. And the worst part was that she had been doing it for almost 2 years. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, feeling stupid. Not angry yet, just stupid. Because while I was skipping lunches to save money, she was building a secret account behind my back. That night I asked her directly, "Are you hiding money from me?" She looked at me like I had slapped her. Then she said, "No." Too fast, I asked again. She got defensive. She said I was being controlling. She said she was allowed to have private money. She said not everything had to be shared. And maybe she was right about that. But this did not feel like privacy. It felt like a plan. A few days later, I saw her put an envelope in her purse before work. A thick white envelope. She didn't see me standing in the hallway. I waited until she left. Then I walked into the bedroom. Her closet was open. One drawer was slightly pulled out. Inside, under a folded sweater, there was another envelope. My hands were shaking before I even touched it. Inside were receipts, hotel payments, cash withdrawals, a printed list of names, and at the bottom of that list was one name circled twice. Daniel. I didn't know any Daniel. That was the moment my mind went to the ugliest place. I thought affair. I thought she had another life. I thought those hotel receipts explained every late meeting, every quiet dinner, every time she turned her phone away from me. I sat on the floor for almost an hour. I didn't cry. I didn't move. I just stared at the name Daniel until it stopped looking like a name. When Anna came home, I had the envelope on the table. She walked in, saw it, and her face changed completely. Not anger, fear. I asked, "Who is Daniel?" She put her bag down slowly. Then she said, "You went through my things?" I laughed once, but there was no humor in it. "That is what you want to talk about." She looked at the envelope, then at me. And for the first time in our marriage, she looked small. She said, I can explain. I didn't want an explanation. I wanted to hate her. That would have been easier. But then she said one sentence that confused me more than anything. Daniel is my brother. Anna had told me she was an only child. For 9 years, I said, "You don't have a brother." She closed her eyes. And that was when the story started falling apart. Not hers, mine. Anna sat across from me and told me that Daniel was her younger brother from her mother's second relationship. He was 8 years younger than her. When Anna was 17, her mother got sick. Her stepfather left. Daniel ended up in foster care for a while. Anna got out as soon as she could. She worked, studied, and tried to bring him with her, but she was too young and had no stable income. By the time she met me, Daniel was already struggling badly. Debt, bad friends, court fees, then rehab bills, then more debt. She said she was ashamed, not of him, of how much of her life was still tied to a past she never knew how to explain. I asked why she lied. She said, "Because the first time I almost told you, you said people who keep saving relatives from bad choices end up ruining their own lives." I remembered saying that. I had said it about a coworker. I had no idea she was sitting across from me, hearing it like a warning. Still, I was angry. "You let me think you were cheating." She looked down. "I didn't know you found the hotel receipts." Then she explained those too. Daniel had been placed in a recovery program 2 towns over. Sometimes she paid for rooms when the facility had family meetings early in the morning. Sometimes she stayed nearby because he had no one else. No romance, no secret lover. Just a broken family history I never knew existed. But the relief did not last, because then I asked the question I should have asked first. Why now? Why all this money? Anna did not answer. She covered her mouth with her hand, and her eyes filled with tears. That scared me more than the envelope. Finally, she said, "He's sick." Daniel had liver failure. Not from one thing. From years of damage, poor choices, relapses, and neglect. He needed treatment that insurance barely touched. The money she hid was not for a new life. It was for his medical bills. And he had asked her not to tell me. Not because he hated me, because he was embarrassed that his sister had built a marriage while he kept dragging pieces of her back into the mess. I wanted to stay angry. I really did. But sitting there, looking at my wife, I saw something I had missed for years. She was exhausted. Not from hiding money, from carrying shame that was never fully hers. Still, what she did broke something between us. For weeks, we barely spoke. We slept in the same bed like strangers. She stopped touching my arm when she passed me in the kitchen. I stopped asking where she was going. The silence became its own kind of punishment. Then Daniel called. Anna was at work. Her phone was on the counter. It rang 3 times. I saw the name and answered before I could talk myself out of it. His voice was weak. He asked for Anna. I said she wasn't home. There was a pause. Then he said, "You must be Mark." I said nothing. He breathed hard for a few seconds and then said, "She should have told you." But I made it harder. I expected excuses. I got something worse. He said Anna had been sending money since before our wedding. She had paid for his rehab twice. Paid rent when he was homeless. Paid legal fees when he got arrested. Paid hospital bills when he overdosed. And every time she tried to stop, something happened that pulled her back. Then he said, "She used to talk about you like you were the safe part of her life." That sentence broke me. Because while I was making myself the victim of the secret, Anna had been trying to protect the only safe place she had left. But protection built on lies still hurts. That was the part we had to face. Daniel died 6 weeks later. Anna told me in the parking lot of the hospital. She didn't fall apart loudly. She just sat in the passenger seat, stared through the windshield and whispered, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do now." I didn't know either. I held her hand. For the first time in months, she let me. After the funeral, we went to counseling. Not because everything was fixed, because it was not. I had to admit that I made it hard for her to bring messy things into our marriage. She had to admit that hiding money and lying about her family damaged us in ways love could not erase overnight. We separated for 3 months. Not to punish each other, to breathe. to decide if we were rebuilding a marriage or just staying because leaving felt too heavy. During that time, Anna gave me full access to every account. She closed the hidden one herself. She showed me letters from Daniel, bills, records, everything. I did not ask for all of it. She said she needed there to be no more shadows. We slowly came back together. Different than before, less perfect, more careful. Now we talk about money every Sunday night, not because money is everything, but because secrets grow best in silence. Sometimes I still think about that first notification. $850, one number on a screen. It made me think my wife was leaving me. Instead, it showed me she had been drowning beside me while I kept asking why the floor was wet. I found the money. I found the lie. But the part that destroyed me was realizing my wife had been carrying all that grief beside me while I had been too comfortable in our quiet life to notice.